Oil is an extremely important commodity, some would even argue the most important in the world at this time. With the flow of oil always under pressure, the price is subject to change at any minute. This rapidly affects the price of goods because of the increase in shipping costs, and consumers will surely be forced to foot the bill. Right now, with tensions rising high, the potential for a price shock to oil is increasingly possible. You came here for the truth, so let me unveil that for you. Today we are going to look at what's happening with oil. Obviously the tensions are running really high in between the United States and the next country that they want to intervene on, if you understand what I'm saying. We're going to look at the price of oil. I'm going to show you the charts, the articles, all the data you need to know. Let's begin right away. Here you can see the price of oil on the left-hand side, WTI crude sitting at about $58 a barrel. Now this has been a commodity that is fluctuating based on the supply and demand fundamentals, but also based on geopolitical tension. That's one of the concerns that we have today. If the US actually does intervene in this particular country or any others in the region, we are going to see a potential standoff, and that would bring the price of oil substantially higher. Many people say $200 a barrel, $300 a barrel. I've seen all kinds of numbers. All I know is that it will bring it higher. What I know is that the price will most likely go much higher than where it is today. That will translate into higher gasoline prices. That is going to have an effect on consumer prices in general because of transportation costs. This is going to impact individuals directly, and those in the bottom 50% of the public are going to be hit the hardest because things like food and energy increasing is going to have a major impact on them because they have very little disposable income. This is going to spill out into the economy, and then you're going to have bigger issues from there. We've been told time and time again, don't worry because we have fracking in the United States, we have the shale, we're gonna be okay, we export oil, everything is totally fine here, we don't need their oil. That's not the way it works, that's not the way the supply chain is today, and I'm gonna show you some information around that that's gonna put a little damper on this, so stay tuned for that. The Strait of Hormuz is the world's most important oil choke point because of the large volumes of oil that flow through the strait. In 2018, its daily oil flow averaged 21 million barrels per day. That's the equivalent of about 21% of global petroleum liquid consumption. There is no way to deny how important this area is. And there is always the threat that the flow of oil could be disrupted in this area at any given time. That puts pressure on the price of oil and again has an impact on consumers indirectly. Choke points are narrow channels along widely used global sea routes that are critical to global energy security. The inability of oil to transit a major checkpoint, even temporarily, can lead to a substantial supply delay and higher shipping costs, resulting in higher world energy prices. Basically, exactly what I said here. Although most choke points can be circumvented by using other routes that add significantly to transit time, some choke points have no practical alternatives. And we're going to talk about that momentarily here. Flows through the Strait of Hormuz in 2018 made up about 1/3 of total global seaborne traded oil. I mean, this is getting more intense every single year. More than 1/4 of global liquefied natural gas trade also transited the Strait of Hormuz in 2018. So I just wanted to stress the importance of this area that is going on today. Not last year, not 5 years ago, 10 years ago. Right now, we are seeing this happening. That just shows you a map on the right-hand side. On the left-hand side, you could see petroleum products, crude oil, and condensate millions of barrels per day. As time has gone on over the last few years, even though the tensions have been very high, we have seen this becoming more and more intensified. So the world hasn't been pulling away from this area. In fact, it has been increasing. Operating pipelines that bypass the Strait of Hormuz 2018. Just showing you the pipeline names, the countries involved, Saudi, UAE are two, but the totals simply do not add up anywhere close to it. So they would have to create some new avenue. Perhaps they will, perhaps they're already working on it. But as of this time, it will cause a major disruption and you would see the price of oil rising very high very quickly. This shows you the volume of crude oil and condensate transported through the Strait of Hormuz. You can see by origin which country it's coming from. It breaks that all down. Obviously, Saudi being so important to oil, there's no doubt about it. And on the right hand side, you can see by destination. So China has been importing so much oil and they've been getting it from various countries. But it's important to see the geopolitical aspect of this because China has a partnership with interesting countries, and that has always been an issue for the West. They don't like the partnerships of China, India as well. And then we get to what I referenced at the beginning. We're talking about shale here, okay? So there has been this constant and never-ending talk about how the US is going to provide its own energy. There's a little hole in that story. Check this out. I'm going to quote the former chief executive of EQT, a shale gas giant. This is what he said. The shale gas revolution has frankly been an unmitigated disaster for any buy and hold investor in the shale gas industry with very few limited exceptions. In fact, I'm not aware of another case of a disruptive technological change that has done so much harm to the industry that created the change. It's not all it's cracked up to be. While hundreds of billions of dollars of benefits have accrued to hundreds of millions of people, the amount of shareholder value destruction registers in the hundreds of billions of dollars. The industry is self-destructive. Now, this sounds very intense, and there is some reality to it. The shale industry has been burning through capital for years, posting mountains of red ink. Over the past decade, the top 40 independent U.S. shale companies burned through $200 billion more than they earned. According to this estimate in 2017, they found that there was $280 billion in negative cash flow between 2010 and 2017. It's incredible when you think about it. Despite the record levels of oil and gas production, the industry is in the hole by roughly $250 billion. So if we have some problems in the Strait of Hormuz and we are unable to get the oil from there, now suddenly we're going to have to bail out the industry in the United States. Is that what's going to happen? Well, I think that this is completely ridiculous because if you cannot provide yourself with a profitable business, it should not be bailed out. But I do foresee that in the future if things continue the way they are. Gold surges to a 6-year high. We are watching the tensions as they escalate. Gold has been the beneficiary of this. It had been trading in a range of approximately $1,100 to $1,300 for years, and it was just going up and down within this range, unable to break through. Now it has exceeded $1,400 and continues to climb. It's going parabolic, actually, if you look at it in the month of June. But there is true reason to worry right now. There is a slowdown that has taken place globally, and we are watching what's going on with the potential disruption of oil. People are worried. They're starting to move their money into safe havens. We're seeing fixed income with $13 trillion of negative yielding bonds. You know that people are scared. This is what's happening. I'm just showing you the information. If you found it informative, please hit that like button. I'm going to end the video there. If you want the financial education you were not taught in school, these two books have everything you need. All the details are at the link in the description. I talk about the foundation, the history, the asset classes, making money, so much more. Definitely check it out. If you want the audiobook, that's available at themoneygps.com. If you want to know about the global economic crisis that we are facing right now, today, 2019, then definitely watch this video. Click on it and I will see you there.